Welcome, everybody. This is a sort of last minute ARPchives Live, though this has actually been a project that has been in the works for many, many months. I'm very, very excited to introduce several people today, and we'll be bringing them on shortly. They are from the Record Company, or the Record Co. in Boston. We are announcing a new partnership. The Pearlman Foundation is partnering with the Record Co. to create a program called ARPs for All. So thank you all for coming, and you will be learning more about this momentarily. So let me bring in everybody. All right, hi everyone. So
How you doing?
There.
we are located in we have Framingham. David Mash on the left. He is a board member of the TRC, or Record Co., as well as the Alan R. Pearlman Foundation. And on the right, we have Mac MacArthur and Ari O'Rourke. I don't know if we can see Ari, no? Are you in the background?
From Ari, from off camera.
And they are in Boston. Would you officially call that the South End of Boston?
Yeah, somewhere between the South End and Dorchester. There's a lot of party arguments about where we are, but Boston.
Boston, okay, yeah, you're in Boston.
Beantown.
So we're here to talk about the ARPs for All program, and I would like to first introduce Matt on the right, because he's going to tell you a little bit about our partners, the Record Co., and what they are doing. So take it away, Matt.
Hey, Dina, thanks so much for having us. And hey, David, I see you over there in your studio, grooving out. Grooving out to the intro music. So Record Co. is a nonprofit community music workspace. We exist to make sure that there is physical space for human beings to get together and make music with one another. We believe that, like a public park, space for making music is something that every single person should be able to access anytime that they want it. And so as a part of that work, we just got done building a brand new expanded space, which is where I am right now. I'm in the medium-sized recording studio, B, here at the new Record Co. The new space is 12,500 square feet, and like 20 rooms for rehearsing and for recording. And we expect that we'll be able to serve about 21,000 unique music makers a year out of this space, which is a pretty crazy improvement to where people will see. Yeah, I don't want to give away any secrets I'm not supposed to give away.
Oh, no secrets here, no. Well, one of the reasons why this is such an important, I believe, partnership is that your mission statement is so close to ours. We want to promote the legacy of my father, whose birthday it is today, would have been 96 today, Alan R. Pearlman, the founder of ARP Instruments and maker of ARP synthesizers, who was a mentor and believed in creating opportunities for all types of musicians and music makers. And your mission statement is really aligned with this kind of thinking. Can you tell us about the mission statement per se?
Absolutely, yeah. And happy birthday, Alan R. Pearlman. I wish we'd had a chance to meet, but it sounds like we would have gotten along. It's super duper important to me personally and to everybody here at the record company, to make sure that music making is for everyone, regardless of your financial means, regardless of your personal or group identities, regardless of what kind of music you make. That's a maybe lesser known sort of thing, but something we deal with here in Boston is certain genres of music not having the same level of access that other genres have. And so we've spent the last 10 years, we've been around for about a decade, we spent the last 10 years getting really clear about what it means to provide this kind of space, and how to do it in a way that's inclusive, that's culturally competent, that meets people where they are. So when they come here, they feel like they're in their own living room. I mean, as a nonprofit, it's I get eyes rolling sometimes, but it's true that like nobody owns this space. It actually belongs to everyone.
Right.
As the custodians of that space, we spend a whole lot of time trying to figure out and working really hard to make sure that it feels that way to people. Because just because it does belong to everyone doesn't mean, legally, doesn't mean that that's how people actually feel when they're here. So we're super excited about this partnership as a way of extending what it means to provide access, and extending the kind of access that people can and experiences they can have here. Did I answer the question? I feel like you asked a really good question, and then I just ran.
I think so. I'd like to hear from David. David, as many of you know, is the chair of the Alan R. Pearlman Foundation and is also an active board member for the TRC. And it was actually David's sort of, I don't want to say brainchild that we get together, but knowing how I wanted to have residencies, artisan residencies, workshops and programs, and try to find a way to make ARP synthesizers, especially the vintage ones, available for everyone. David said, I think I have the right people to get to connect you. So tell us a little bit, David, about how this all came about.
Well, as Dina just said, being a board member of both organizations, I was thinking one day about how the intersection between the two organizations is around access, and the whole idea of enabling music makers to do what they want to do when they want to do it. One of the ideas that we were floating around at the ARP Foundation was the concept of having, rather than a museum where people could go to look at instruments, an opportunity for people to actually make music on instruments that they might not necessarily get access to. And the Record Co.'s mission is to give them access to rehearsal and recording spaces that otherwise they might not have access to. So the idea just seems so perfectly matched to put instruments at the Record Co. and let them be available to anybody who's coming to the Record Co. And then we started to think, the three of us started to brainstorm about, well, let's do residencies, and let's have artists come for a week to the Record Co. and make music with these instruments and record in the Record Co. space, and also do some outreach to the community and let people into what they're doing and how they're doing it, and maybe we could also do workshops and clinics for the community on how to use these instruments, so that more and more people would get a chance to learn about them, to use them, to make music with them, and thereby be able to express themselves as artists, but also to have access to things that they wouldn't normally have access to.
Well, I think we should go ahead and take a tour. So what we have arranged is a little private tour. Let's see if I can get this to work.
Hey, it's Matt here at the Record Co. in Boston. Let's take a tour of our new space. So this spot opened up in January of this year, 12,500 square feet and 20 rooms for music making. We've got 15 rehearsal studios down this hallway here. They range in size from a medium room like this. They come complete with drum sets, amplifiers, microphones, whatever you need. It's all here when you get here. We've got large rehearsal studios like these. More space for people and activities, and mirrors in case you want to see what you look like while you're practicing for your show. And then we've got some small rehearsal studios as well, like these. Maybe you just want to play drums by yourself. You had a hard time doing that in your apartment during the pandemic. Maybe you want to play keyboard and guitar or write a song with a friend or a collaborator. And that's really what this space is all about. It's about people running into people, making music all together in one place. We've also got recording studios. There's 4 of those. And those, just like the rehearsal studios, come with everything you might need. There's instruments, keyboards, and I know we have an announcement coming up. We're so excited to add some new instruments to that collection. Stay tuned. Quick pit stop here at the tech shop where things go to get fixed. And on our way to studios C and D, the 2 small recording studios that are just a control room and a booth. Check it out. Mostly vocal recording, electronic production. We've seen drum sets in there. You name it, it's totally up to you. Quick stop at Studio D, which is exactly like Studio C, slightly different vibe. And now back through the lobby on our way to Studio A. This is where you'll meet up with somebody for a coffee, where you'll run into somebody you haven't seen in a while, meet a new collaborator. Again, it's all about leaving home and going to work and being around other people. Last but not least, this is Studio A, large format recording studio, also suitable for community events, up to 90 people. This is a nice, good sized control room with a big analog recording console. There's a couple of isolation booths in the studio, one up here and one down here. And then a nice big live room too with natural light. Looks like we're set up for piano recording in here. There's one studio we didn't go to, that's Studio B. We're gonna head back there now to connect about what's going on with ARPs for All. I'll see you there.
All right, that was a quick tour. You've done this before.
It was aerobic, I needed a little something today.
Yeah, that was great.
Shout out to Ari for operating the camera.
Yeah, we really got this all together. Everybody rallied. So we're going to open up the room for questions in a little bit. I would like to actually segue into the actual room that we were hanging out in last week. It seems like a long time ago already, where the initial ARPs are living. So we have an avatar, a ARP 2600, which my dad signed. We have a sequencer. We also have an axe. We have an Odyssey, and coming this summer we have a Solus. We have a Quadra, and what else do we have? We have an Omni coming and a second Odyssey. So there's a lot of wonderful stuff. We're also going to have VST versions of the Odyssey, the 2600 and the 2500. So we're hoping to gear up, and we'll talk about the fundraiser in a little bit, but let's go ahead and go into the room that we were, what would you call this room? This is the room that we did all the taping, Matt. What would you call it?
That's our tech shop where we were loading instruments in and testing, and they won't live in there all the time, but they'll go there to get, tune-ups and get ready to go back into action.
All right, let's take a look at this.
Everything still works completely in here, including the headphone output, but it cuts the mains so that I could put my headphones on, get the next hash, take my headphones off, get into the music again, flick this switch and it's buffered so it won't make a pop. And then the audience can hear me again. So just so you note that this could be a source for people who, why can't I get an output? Well, because this switches that way. So as long as you know that. So what I'm going to do here, test and see if that works. It works? Okay, so I'm gonna. So this sequencer basically puts out voltages for each of the steps, and that can be used to tune the oscillators. So what I did was I took the output from the sequence A, I passed it into this multiple, and then I took 2 more cables to the 2 oscillators, and that way I can control the pitch of these 2 oscillators with this sequencer. So I can go back and reset, and I can choose what pitch, and then I can step.
Buttons are the keys are moving you between the different steps, and the light.
Yeah, so this is a step button, this is a reset button. The light tells you what steps you're on. So. Internal reverb. Now I'm going to take the keyboard voltage and use it to change the pitch.
I think you're ready for the gig.
So the law of analog synthesis is the availability of a given patch cord is inversely proportionate to its need. So the more patch cords you need, the less you will find. I need one more. Can I have one more long one? So I'm just going to take the clock from here into that. Get lost here for hours.
Sweet.
let's talk a little bit more about how people can actually come in and use these machines. So tell us about the check-in process. We're gonna have we're gonna have a couple of methods, but if someone is coming in to rent space at the TRC, how is that gonna work, Matt?
Yeah, so you saw in the tour that there's a really ample collection of instruments and other tools that are here for anyone that's in the space to use. These ARP instruments are going to go into that collection. So on a first come, first serve basis, anyone that's in the space that's interested in creating music with any of these amazing instruments is going to be able to do that. And accessing the space, the number one way that people access the space is just by booking it as an individual. As a part of our mission, individuals booking time at the Record Co. Receive a very, very low, or have access to a very, very low rate for using the space. So the rehearsal studios range from $10 an hour to $25 an hour, and recording studios, which come a la carte. You get all the gear you need, but you either engineer for yourself or you bring in a recording engineer with you. The recording studios are offered in 4-hour increments for $65 for 4 hours in the smaller rooms, all the way up to $130 for 4 hours in the larger rooms. So anytime you have a reservation here, you'll be able to access the collection. And as David mentioned, we're also going to be continuing to evolve and create other opportunities to access the instruments. So events, workshops, residencies for individual artists. So there will be, outside of booking the space as an individual, there will be other ways to engage and get hands-on with the instruments too.
David, why don't tell us a little bit more about the programs that we're going to be developing.
So as I mentioned before, one of the things that we're looking to do is to create artists in residencies at the Record Co. that are part of the Arts for All project, where these would be funded so an artist could come in for a period of time and work on these instruments in a recording session and in a recording setting, and create new music. And we would hope to be able to share that new music publicly, as well as to also have the artists do workshops for the community live, in person, and also streamed, so that the community could get to know what these artists are doing with these instruments, maybe get inspired themselves and book time and come in on their own to do these things. So we're working to get help from donors to fund those projects, and hopefully maybe some of the people who are listening to this might get excited by the idea of being able to fund an artist in residency at the Arts for All at the Record Co. And thereby help new artists or even existing artists make new music with these incredible instruments that are so rare and difficult to come by.
Yeah, we're going to be having an Explorer. I'm going to be lending an Explorer for a couple of workshops, a very rare and lovely little instrument. It's my father's personal machine. It's a combination analog and presets. It's about the size of a soloist, but it's cute. It's got a little sort of axe side and a little soloist side. So not a lot of those out there. I just found the manual, which is probably even rarer than the instrument at these days. So that's going to be coming in for some projects soon, and some surprises. We have some interesting stuff hopefully coming down the pike, giving people opportunities. So it's pretty exciting. I do want to add that I pinned a comment to the live stream on the top, and this is a link to our special landing page. We have a landing page that is dedicated to this project. It's very easy to remember, lnrpearlman.org/ARPs-for-all, ARPs for all. And there's a way to book or reserve the studio space. A lot of information. We have our list of synthesizers that are both here and are going to be on their way this summer. So please bookmark that spot. Please consider making a donation. We are trying to raise money for an ARP Quadra, which we have someone is holding for us. Hopefully, we'll be able to raise money for that. We have a few other instruments that are, like I said, on their way, and like that. And this is what I really love about this project, is that this really is an opportunity for anyone in the area or coming to Boston as a destination to be able to come and use them. So this is really, this project is for all of you. This project is for synthesizer lovers and music lovers and sound lovers to come in and experiment and work with. So
from all we cannot wait to be the friendly and helpful faces that put you directly in touch with one of these instruments. I will be the first to admit that I still have a few more lessons I need to take from Dina and David on how to use these amazing tools. And I'm really grateful that we'll have the software instrument version so I can put my headphones on and not embarrass myself in front of others. But yeah, I'd also say it would be great to hear from all of you too. Send us an email, write us a comment on social media if you have ideas about, how we can provide the greatest impact. And just piggybacking on the fundraising concept, one thing that I think is really cool about donating or supporting the ARP Foundation in their pursuit of acquiring new instruments is once ARP Foundation acquires an instrument, that's in its permanent collection forever, and that one instrument, kind of like a single room here at TRC, is going to benefit hundreds and eventually thousands of people each year, just one instrument. I'm really grateful that we'll have the software instrument version so I can put my headphones on and not embarrass myself. And that one instrument, kind of like a single room here at TRC, hundreds and eventually thousands of people. Huh.
That was interesting.
That was very interesting.
Yeah, it says all saying to me off camera.
I've never done three people on ARP Live before, so I'm asking everyone to give me a pass card on that. But I apologize for looking away from the camera. I do need to take a look at the comments, so I'm going to be off to the side a little bit, and I'm hoping to hear from all of you. I'd like questions, comments, suggestions. We are open to all of that. All right, so while we go through the awkward silence, let's see. What do we have here? Jeff Kelly says it's a nice collection of ARP instruments. Would it be great to have an ARP 2500 added someday? Loved working with both the 2500 and 2600. So we are all very happy to welcome an ARP 2500 into our collection. Yes.
Yes.
So if anyone, we are also, and I mentioned this to a few people already, if you know of, or if there are people who have non-working ARP instruments, we can take them and repair them and give them a nice new home. So that's sort of a side arm of this project. Donations can take place by using by funds. They can also buy donations in kind. So several of our instruments have been donated. David, do you want to tell a little bit of the history of the ARP 2600 that you donated? Because I think it's
Sure.
it's pretty amazing, and I was sorry that we didn't get all of the sound when you were demoing, but yeah.
Sure. So that instrument that Matt is sitting right next to, that is a 1977 vintage ARP 2600, which is single owner. I guess actually it has a storied history. I bought it in 1977, and I used it for 6 years with my group Ictus, and then at the Boston Shakespeare Theater. And then I sold it for a very small sum to a very close friend of mine, Dr. Thomas Ray. Tom Ray is well known in the synthesizer industry. And unbeknownst to me, Tom took my 2600 and he shrink wrapped it and put it in climate controlled storage. And about 30 years later, he and I were having lunch as both of us were getting ready to retire from our jobs at Berklee College of Music. And Tom gave it back to me as a gift, very kind gift. And we went over to a storage unit, got it off the shelf, took the shrink wrap off of it and powered it right up, and sure enough, it still worked as good as the day I sold it to him. I did, though, have Steve Masucci, who's a very well-known synthesizer restorer and repair person, go through it and replace the key bed and put new felts in and tweak all the settings and brought it back up to factory standards. He also helped restore the sequencer that's there, placing some burnt out LEDs and this instrument was used in performance. Its last use in performance was at the event that Berklee held, the Everything ARP Day, in honor of Alan Pearlman. And we did a small performance on it, and afterwards, Alan was kind enough to sign it, so it is actually autographed by Alan R. Pearlman himself. And I thought it'd be fitting to donate it to the foundation and have it be part of this ARPs for All collection, so that people could enjoy this vintage and nicely restored instrument in a modern day setting.
Great. We have a couple of questions here. There is one question, is do our mics included? That's John Kamoutsias and Record Co answered, all gear is no extra charge. And let's see, it looks like Ariana O'Rourke wants to know if any high profile musicians from Massachusetts have used ARP synthesizers. The Cars.
The Cars?
Yeah.
Greg Hawk?
Yeah, they're from Massachusetts. Gosh, that's a great question. David.
So wait, is it an ARP? Is that solo in Just What I Needed, an ARP synthesizer?
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know the answer to that either. That's interesting.
We'll have to find out.
Yes, we're on it. Duly noted.
I will say that that a famous musician that studied in Massachusetts, Joe Zawinul, who studied at Berklee College of Music, used ARP 2600s extensively, sometimes two at a time, and then later went on to use a Quadra as well. So
And the Chroma.
And the Chroma too. So there's a related, Massachusetts related. David, you were going to say?
Joe Zawinul and I co-taught a class for 3 weeks in Italy, and he still was, this was in 1990, and he was still using his Rhodes Chroma then, and Expander.
Wow. Well,
Just to give folks a sense of kind of what the different options or configurations, I'm thinking about that question about what gear is included. You know, like one example of something you could do is you could come in and rent a small rehearsal studio at the Record Co., which is $10 an hour. So you could come in just for an hour, but let's say you came in for 2 hours and you booked the room for 2 hours for $20. If you wanted microphones, speakers, there'd be a PA speaker in there already for you. If you needed it, amplifiers, anything like that. If you wanted to check out a recording interface, we have USB recording interfaces here that you could pair with your laptop to record what you were doing on one of these instruments. And sorry, I forgot the most important part. If you wanted to request one of these instruments, you could do that too. So, for very, very short money, very flexibly, You could come in and access all of that floating equipment, including the synthesizers, and for $20, get a couple of hours with one of these instruments and record it while you're here. So that would be all the way up to doing like a large format recording session in Studio A, which would, if you were engineering for yourself, would be a bit more expensive, but still very, very reasonable. And again, have access to all that for $130 for 4 hours. All these instruments, a great mic locker, you name it. So
Great
we're really
recording equipment.
do this. What's that?
Great recording equipment. Great monitors. Great desks.
It's nice stuff, It's like I've got a rack behind me here that's got some pretty sweet interfaces and great connectivity when you want to patch this into that or this out of that. There's all kinds of flexibility. Let's see, there's a rack. I don't know if this will work. Let's try. There's a rack here of outboard gear in Studio B, plenty of preamplifiers and equalizers and signal processors. This room's $100 for 4 hours, so you could come in and get quite a bit done. Or in my case, spend a full 4 hours trying to figure out how to make the sound that I'm trying to make. But you give me, everybody listening, you give me like a couple of weeks and I'll be back to you with some real progress on this.
Whoops, I just
Even
switched us. Any questions about any ARP Foundation specific questions? No? Let's see. We got some more. Do you have, is it a VAVE tape machines? Is that VAV? I'm not sure.
I don't know what that is. Sorry.
So tell us about the what kind of tape machines do you have, or do you have tape machines? This is what I'm seeing here.
We're mostly a digital studio, so studios B, C, and D all have control surfaces and Focusrite interfaces. We also have Dante connectivity throughout the facility, so you can use, you can interlink recording studio control rooms and live rooms as well as the rehearsal studios. Studio A does have, in addition to the control surfaces and the digital infrastructure, does have a 24-channel Sound Workshop Series 34 analog console with some routing. And it's not quite back in service yet since we reopened in January, but we do have a 2-inch 16-track JH machine, MCI JH tape machine, which is a pretty sweet, pretty cool machine that will be back in service. I think it's going to go into Studio B to start, but can be moved and calibrated as needed for transfer sessions, or if you want to work on analog tape, on 2-inch analog tape. But back to that feedback point, if there's something we're missing that you would really like to see here, we would love to just drop it in the comments. We would love to hear that, and would love to try and facilitate making that kind of stuff available.
Yes, please. Please. Again, I want to emphasize that this is a program that's really for all of you, synth lovers, music lovers, and your friends. So we really do better when we are able to work together, and I really believe that. So hopefully that will you'll all be involved in one way or the other. Did get a little bit of information. Bill T. Miller, hey Bill, said Roger Powell of Todd Rundgren Band and ARP manual presenter recorded his ARP 2500 solo album on Newbury Street, Boston, at the studio that became the Cars Synchro Sound. So there we go.
Oh, wow.
And Greg Hawkes did use an ARP Omni on some tracks, though not on that particular one. That was probably a Mini Cork 700. Thank you, everybody. So you all know much more than I do about those details.
This is much better than Wikipedia.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, definitely. Well, we will be wrapping it up shortly. If we don't hear from anyone, any more questions, I will. I do want to emphasize that this is going to be the kickoff for a fundraiser, and I pinned the link to the top of the chat in the live video, and you'll be hearing from me more this week. This fundraiser is for several synthesizers that we are purchasing, as well as sort of the care and feeding and nurturing of these synthesizers and like that. And we will be having our first in-person, well, maybe not the first actually in-person program. We hope to start to have slowly start to roll in some workshops towards the end of the summer. And then on September 18th, we're going to have an event at the TRC. This is going to be a fundraising event, as well as having a roundtable focusing on the ARP 2600, which started shipping, I believe, in 1971, though I know that if Mary or Jeff or John are here, you might be able to correct me on that. And celebrating what a famous, amazing, groundbreaking instrument. This is on almost everyone's top 10 synthesizers of all time list. There's a whole exhibit on the Google Arts and Culture that ARP Foundation participated in that can tell you a lot about all the individual players and times that occurrences that it was being used. My favorite is, of course, R2-D2 in Star Wars. It was really cool. I don't think I'll ever going to get over that myself. I think it was really wonderful. So we'll be having that event, and please keep your ears open for that. We'll be posting about it. We'll probably give you a couple of 2 or 3 months to prepare, so it's coming up pretty quick. And we're starting to develop some programming for that. All right.
Welcome to the space. It's going to be so great to have you all here and hear music coming out of speakers and talking face to face with other people. It's going to be wonderful. Get excited.
I'm looking forward to doing a workshop on the ARP 2600 for the TRC community, and maybe we can live stream it as well to help people get started on using the instrument.
So yes, Cedric Carter wanted to log in. The program is taking place in Massachusetts. The ARP Foundation, the Alan R. Pearlman Foundation, is a virtual foundation, meaning we don't have a brick and mortar location, but this is our first. I don't want to call it a brick and mortar, but it is. We're collaborating with the Record Co. in Boston, which is the hometown of ARP Instruments. I will add, however, that this ARPs for All program is something that we eventually foresee taking place perhaps in another continent or another country where vast collections of synthesizers occur. And there's a few people that have exhibited interest in the residency section, but this location is going to be the exclusive collection of the Alan R. Pearlman Foundation synthesizers. So we have greetings from Spain, Tony Gutierrez, greetings from Barcelona, and they want to know if the foundation has document resources for original user manuals, service manuals, and technical information from the ARP years. Yes, the answer is yes. We have been gifted some wonderful digital space, and courtesy of David Friend, and we we are going to be creating a digital archive as well as a physical archive, and the physical archive location has not been 100% confirmed, but most likely it'll be in one of several locations in Boston, where hopefully these materials will be open for study. So, yeah. I will add that we are going to make sure that by the time July 1st, which is when we're hoping people can come in and start using the instruments, that we're also going to be able to have printouts of manuals. We're going to have PDFs that you can download, and every machine that we have is going to have either a user's manual, a set of patch cards, or both. So you will be able to walk in. You won't have to walk in cold and wonder how, if you've never used a 2600 before, it can be pretty daunting. Actually, any of the analogs, it's not an instinctive learning curve, which is why I always laugh and say when I was young, my favorite synthesizer was a Pro Soloist, because I knew what an oboe was and I could flip the switch. Of course, that's oversimplifying it, because that's a beautiful instrument as well.
I've seen some of the patch books, and so even someone like myself who does not have experience yet was very excited to get that step-by-step visual representation. So for anyone out there who's like, I don't know what to connect to what, fret not. If I can do it, you can do it. We've got some wonderful patch books that we'll have here for you to reference.
I do want to have a shout out to, I think I saw Peter Churchyard in the audience. And I want to thank Peter as well as David Mash are both contributors to the collection in this in our new collection. So thank you so much, David Mash, and thank you so much, Peter Churchyard, for helping us obtain the Solus. It's it's been an amazing journey so far, and we've only just started. So I think it's going to be very cool. All right.
To you too, Dina, for all the hard work you're doing to make this possible and make these instruments accessible to people. You rock. And thank you so much for the opportunity to host this. We're just so grateful to be able to be in the presence of these instruments and make them available to others too.
It's really exciting. All right, everyone. We will repost this with a little bit of finesse and the full video of David demoing the 2600 in the space. So that should be coming up in the next couple of days, if not sooner. So, we got a couple more people coming in. We have hello from Chile. Renzo Tortiforno from Chile is here. Thank you so much for coming. We're about to end unless someone has some questions, and otherwise we're pretty much talked out, I guess. What to say.
Check out the ARP Foundation's website and make a donation to support their incredible work.
All right, everybody. I will be around for questions. You can reach out to the Eleanor Pearlman ARPchives Facebook and or Instagram, and I'm happy to answer more questions directly. I will also create links to the TRC, so someone who has a more gear-minded question or wants to know about the safety of the facilities. They've really COVID-proofed the place, and have taken every measure to make sure that everyone is safe. So I will make their addresses available as well. All right. Signing off, everybody. Take care.
See ya.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.